Okay, wiggle your fingers, your toes, wiggle them around a little bit. Move your body around. So that's the class in a nutshell.
Yeah,
The-
that's a big no. Yeah.
The thing is like the class that we did last weekend with the anxiety was kind of a precursor to this. This goes deeper, and then even some of the emotional like byproducts of abandonment is something that we're going to treat next week in the loving kindness class. Loving kindness simply means like the ability to do good acts, and that's not just for other people. It's like good acts for yourself, like it's creating goodness in your life. And so you know, we kind of are doing a little bit of a series, like last weekend, this weekend, and next weekend. So even if this is all you do, I mean, this is intense class. You know, it's something that should be done more than once. You know, segments done alone out of this class, but definitely at some point sit down and do the segments again. You know, we'll do it again, probably another live version of it again. You know, do another redo. You always have the recordings, but you know, this one's a big one. So let's go ahead and share experiences and.
Could you do a recording with takes out all your verbiage?
Takes out all my verbiage.
It's just the steps.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. We've actually been talking about that. She's asking, could we like do it where we could do the class, but just without me talking about it, just doing the steps. And actually what we're going to do, Letty was kind enough to bring me a booklet. We're going to go through and do recordings of the patterns. And so you could just like follow the patterns. We're going to put them up on YouTube. And when I told her, I go, I think we have like 40 or 50 like patterns. And how many do we have? 200?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 190 or something like that. So we're gonna go through and start recording them at some point so that you can just do a quick fire through. And they'll just be on YouTube. So you can just pop on YouTube and go through and do them. And you can do little short versions, big versions, and just do a mix and match. And so.
And you'd be amazed what you can do with an index card. And you'd be amazed what you could do with an index card.
Go ahead, Marianne.
Hey, Marianne.
Just have a question that's
Yeah.
sort of nagging at me.
Sure.
In thinking about how we cope with stress, you know, flight, fight,
Yeah.
etc. But I'm thinking of a situation where there's, you know, a traumatic incident that happens and the person that is able to just instinctively react and do exactly what is needed in that situation. Is that an individual that's acting instinctively, or is it somebody that deals with everything on higher chakra levels?
Yeah, like you know, your instinctive response. I mean, that's actually a great question. Your instinctive response is kind of tied to conditioning, and so conditioning in a good way and conditioning in a bad way. You know, and so when there hasn't been too much bad conditioning, and when there's been you know, it kind of ties in a little bit to what we're doing next weekend, but still we can just talk about it from this point of view. But like when certain things are unwound, you're still are always going to have instinctive responses, you know, because there's going to be times like if somebody threw something at my head right now, I wouldn't go, I'm going to cognitively process this, then I need to move my head out of the way. I'm going to move my head and then go, what was that about? You know, like I'm not going to think about it. My body's just going to react. And so there are times and situations where you're going to have those reactions. And it really is about unwinding some of the past conditioning so that your instinctive responses are more for doing those good acts rather than just trying to manage something. So you're using the same mechanism, but you kind of start to tweak it so that it becomes an ally or an asset rather than something that causes you to tailspin. And so it goes back to like when somebody says something and somebody says something that seems kind of nice, and then they'll say, well, that hurt my feelings. You look at the words are nice, and then you go, well, I said nice things. Like how did that hurt your feelings? It's not the words, it's how you said it, right? It's the same idea. It's an instinctive mechanism. Sometimes there's good instincts and sometimes there's bad instincts. And we have both, even though it's tied to the same mechanism. If there's been a lot of conditioning, sometimes the instinct is like, things are going well, I'm going to sabotage myself.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's things where like things are going well and I'm going to do the right thing so that things don't spin out of control. Right? You don't really cognitively process that, but there's just the instinct of yeah, I probably shouldn't do this or I shouldn't do that. And you might not know why. You step back a little bit later and go, okay, what just happened? And then you realize, oh, I made a good choice, right? And so that still can happen, right? But it's tied to past conditioning, and it's tied to some of your limbic responses, like emotional learning and things like that. And so the issue is for us is that the stronger the emotion, the bigger the imprint on the nervous system, like on your nervous system and your psyche, right? And so what happens over a period of time, what tends to be the thing that has the biggest impact on us is usually negative things, right? We can experience really positive things, but then when something really negative happens, we tend to grind on it and re-experience it over and over again because we're trying to resolve it, right?
Yeah.
When something good happens, it's like, wow, that felt really good. I'd like to have it again. But you don't sit and grind on it like, oh, I really like to have that again. I really like to have it again. How can I get that? You do that with something negative. So what tends to happen to almost all of us is that the imprint is usually the negative things. And so then when your instinctive responses start to fire off, you're responding from that set of imprints. And so part of what you do when you go through and start to activate the heart and the upper faculties, the whole idea of loving kindness is to reset that pattern so that you're re-experiencing things that are good, that are wholesome, like good acts, and that has a bigger imprint on you so that when the instinctive responses happen, it's more about producing goodness rather than managing difficulty. Right? Managing difficulty is you're just trying to push back against pain, against abandonment, whatever it might be, a little bit of chaos. So, yeah, does that make sense?
I heard a Native American teacher say, fight, flight, do it right. And that turned up, that expression just kept at me. Yeah. And that's where the question came from, and thinking about, well, I don't know, there's just so many things to think about. And
think about when we're going through and talking about, like, at the beginning of the day yesterday, when I go, okay, recall times where you felt abandoned. And by the time you get here and you go, okay, now recall those situations where you felt abandoned, and they don't feel quite as negative, right? They don't feel quite as bad. And sometimes you even start to see, like, maybe there was a little bit of a silver lining in the situation, or maybe some good will come out of it, or is coming out of it, or, whatever it might be. Part of it is you're undoing some of the past conditioning, but by going through and starting to reflect, you're starting to bring, even in that simple reflection, goodness to something that was originally kind of bad. And so even that starts to change the way it imprints on the limbic system and the nervous system. So your emotional learning actually starts to shift. So part of it when we're doing that is you're measuring that part of it is you're doing a little bit of a rewire. You're doing a little bit of a re-education thing with that. So in a way, we're kind of multitasking a little bit.
All right. Thank you very much. And also thank you
You're
for
so
telling us when you were back in the day, when you
Oh,
were trying to deal with
I
positive
have horrible
things and
stories
how-
from when I was young. I have horrible stories.
But it was such a wonderful example of something that I did for years. And
Yeah.
just hearing you talk about it from your experience, it sort of normalizes, well, gee, I'm not the only one that does
No,
it and or
no,
did it. So I thank you for that.
yeah, my
And
pleasure.
it's not something you hear people saying very often. And
Yeah,
um,
yeah. We're all doing a different version of the same dance. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we think that some of these things only happen to us, but it happens to all of us. And I mean, those first 25, 30 years, they were rough. They were really, really rough,
yeah. But thank you. Thank
When I traveled with the medicine man, he used to tease me about it quite substantially. Yeah.
we come to laugh at those things.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny now, but when he was doing it, it was not funny. But now it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And go ahead, Wendy.
Hey, Wendy.
Hey, Greg.
Did I accidentally just mute you? Sorry. You have to unmute yourself again. Sorry, Wendy.
Okay. Would you be kind enough to give me a sentence or two about the plant empowerment and the methods of applications? I don't exactly understand what that is, or it seems to be
Oh, in
very different from,
Yeah. In the early part of the booklet.
yeah.
Yeah. So what we did there is, like I gave you the information on the plants that we used in this protocol. And then when you get down to the plant empowerment, like basically like when you work with a plant, like in a, you could call it like a esoteric way, you could call it a shamanic way, you could call it all kinds of different things. But basically each plant has kind of a thing that it does really well for us, right? And another way of saying that is, depending on where you put your attention with the plant, like sometimes it's good for your nervous system, sometimes it's good for your respiratory system. The plant empowerment is whenever you put your attention on the pattern that's here, it is activating to the blue pearl. Like
All of them?
Every plant has some pattern that activates the blue pearl. And so I wrote those down for you so you could play with them for your own, like that is like a way that plant teaches you something about yourself. And so, at one point, the abandonment class was just going to be the empowerment class. And, we were just going to delve into that. And then when we started kind of going in a little bit deeper, I was like, let's just do abandonment. But I still wanted to give you guys the plant empowerment stuff. We are going to cover some of that stuff in the Tuesday night study groups.
Okay.
Like I wanted to give it to you so you just had it in your notes, but I'm going to run you through it on the Tuesday night things.
That's cool. That's very,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad I asked because I had.
So
I didn't-
it's not complete. Like this one's for the blue pearl, but we have 3 seeds, right? We have 3 seeds.
Yeah.
Mental, and then physical, and then down in the solar plexus is the emotional. Every plant actually stimulates each seed, but the pattern's always different.
Right.
And so I thought I'd start with the blue pearl, and then next we're going to do the seed that's in the heart.
Whoa. All right. Sounds like I better start showing up on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
Lovely class.
And we're gonna do more than just the plants that are listed here.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
there's gonna be all kinds of stuff that we do, but I just thought this was a good starting point.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I have all kinds of information, but if I don't put it out there, it's like it does no good just sitting on my iPad or whatever. Like, might as well give it to you guys. You can start experimenting with it, but I am gonna run you guys through it.
Go ahead, Brandy.
Hey, Brandy,
Hey, Greg.
how'd you do?
Um, it's amazing. There is still shifting happening. I can't wait till this week is through. It was interesting. I'll tell you a couple random things that came. One was that, like, so I won a national championship in college in my sport, and I never celebrated it. Right. Like, it was never okay. Like, it was, my sport was always, there's something else, there's something next, there's whatever.
Right.
And I guess, you know, we've done a lot of work together and everything. I think it was about 2 years ago that I got asked to do something for as an alumni. And I guess it was 3 years ago because of COVID. And I finally celebrated it. And went, wow, who works from the age of 7 to 23 on such a massive goal and actually achieves it? Right. Like, that it was just interesting idea. So for some reason that came to me, which I'm sure is totally tied to abandonment and the idea of, you know, leaving the sport and the identity, etc. But anyway, so that was interesting. And then the other was that right before COVID, I got invited to this very elite, this is someone I very, very much honor in our profession. And I got invited to speak, to teach at this very elite conference, global people there, only like less than 100 people. And 70% are clinicians that are top and 30% are like researchers in the top. And I remember going and speaking and it just being a whole surreal thing. And we're having our first retreat again coming up in like 2 weeks. And I got invited back, and since I've spoken now, and it's really interesting because I remember finishing talking and stuff and kind of struggling with this idea of having a seat at the table. Kind of like, and so for some reason that came up during this last section, and I was like, I actually really felt embraced with like, oh, I have a seat at the table. Like, I really belong at the table, not like I'm an imposter that's kind of broken. Like, it's really weird. It's really, really interesting. So again, tied to abandonment, I'm certain of it. And so you're talking about the security, like feeling more secure. Yeah, so those were just two interesting like epiphanies. So I'm sure in like a week or two, I'll probably send you some crazy message and be like, I can't believe anyway, but I'm very grateful, so grateful I'm also grateful for your first 25, 30 years of your struggle, because it has gratefully impacted my recovery of my struggles. So thank you.
Good. Yeah.
So my question was, because what's interesting, you know, you have the PTSD protocol smack in the middle of this, and
it's a variation. Like
it is a variation.
Yeah, it's kind of very,
with the athletes, right? But I know that it's the oils that are used, not the
right. The patterns are
different. Yeah, but with the athletes, they already have, most of them have this kit except for helicrucium and bay laurel. Would it work well to just divide it into 4 and 4 and have them do a day like that? Okay. Yeah, I was thinking of doing that. I had another question, but it doesn't have anything to do with this class, so I can wait if you want me to. It's up to you.
Let's maybe do the ones for the class so people don't get confused, and then we'll do anything goes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Perfect.
Can this last protocol be used as a standalone treatment for trauma? I have a client who hates the smell of mugwort.
Yeah, like the mugwort does make it flow easier, but you know, you can always use artemisia, which is a completely different smell. Same plant, just from a different region. Or you can use poplar, the poplar or the poplar spray. But mugwort helps everything start flowing so that when you get to this, it flows easier, but it could stand on its own as well. It just wouldn't go as quickly. Yeah, but it could, yeah. Helichrysum is really good for trauma. Even just having somebody smell helichrysum helps to reduce trauma. And so, any version of that can be helpful.
When we were doing helichrysum, 3 ancient abandonment surfaced, -2 from 40 plus years ago, and 1 from 75 plus years ago.
Wow.
My
good for you.
response was, oh, yes, there that was.
Hmm.
There was that too. There was that too. Sorry, didn't mean to not read your message properly.
Good. Good.
This was really great. Thank you so much always. See. Lots of thank yous. You had talked about cinnamon earlier, about making thick skin. Is there a pattern that we could do to make it even stronger?
Actually, just taking a couple drops in water internally is kind of all you need to do. That one's not super complicated. Yeah, I mean, you can just inhale it, but a few drops of cinnamon internally, because part of the issue is it makes you a little bit more thick-skinned. It basically makes you a little bit more extroverted, right? But part of it is it makes your body strong. Like it strengthens the body, and so it makes it less sensitive to the pokes that come from other people. Yeah.
So in particular, if you were dealing with a legal issue and you're going to, like you said, extroverted, which may be a little concerned that it might make you say something that you shouldn't. So if you're
No,
dealing
just
with-
outgoing, like outwardly expressing. Yeah.
So if you're going to have to deal with an opposing attorney poking at you, yes or no? Good one to do or not?
So she's asking if you're in the middle of a lawsuit, is it something that you use for dealing with a opposing attorney? Honestly, I would use Rue.
Okay.
And the reason I would use Rue is it keeps you calm and it helps you to resolve conflict to a much higher degree. And that's what you're having to deal with. You're dealing with somebody who's actively kind of like psychically attacking you, because it's an adversary, right?
Right.
And
That's the rule.
they're trying to trick you and especially if you're going to be deposed, they're trying to trick you into saying things that
Might even be incorrect.
I mean, all the time. Like, they give, half truths and pieces of information or lead you in different directions, try to get you to react, things like that. And so, yeah, I mean, I also like to use like something like larch or like the Siberian fir, like the premium Siberian fir, because it's really soothing to the nervous system, especially the somatic nerves, and can make you a bit less reactive too, like to take action. But rue would be probably my number one thing.
Internally or?
No, rue you don't want to take internal. You would just inhale or put several drops on your skin. That should be enough. Yeah.
Was that cinnamon leaf or bark?
Either one.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. So, other questions?
Go ahead and do the ones in here.
Okay,
So
Miss Tracy.
so that one was really hard for me.
Mhm.
Like, I wanted to cut and run several times, like I couldn't breathe several times. And I just turned to helichrysum and I'm like, oh, trauma, oh, stress, oh.
Yeah.
I feel a lot better now, but
Yeah.
wow.
So
it was only what
she-
was
Yeah, yeah. So she was saying that the helichrysum was a little difficult. I mean, you are releasing trauma, and so it passes. But sometimes when it's coming out, trauma is a thought form, and sometimes when it's coming out, it goes out kicking and screaming. It's a thought form. It's trying to survive. And so you just keep doing the pattern and it usually resolves itself. But, it helps with inner wounds. But when there's still traumatic thought forms that are lodged in your system, that last segment with the helichrysm, that's what flushes some of those things out. And so,
You just keep doing this.
yeah, you keep doing it. Oh my God, I lived on helichrysm for a long time. Yeah. Boy, a long time. I back then I didn't, I wasn't using the mugwort first. The mugwort makes it much easier, much faster. Like, so I had to do it, daily for months at a time.
So would you do just the mugwort and the helichrysm? Like for me? Next week.
Maybe the last 4 steps. Yeah. Mhm.
So like after the last two that we did, like my hands have done nothing but throb. So is that when you're releasing?
Yeah, it's yeah, you're releasing. You feel a little bit sweaty too.
Yes.
Yes. That's a little bit of a shift in your nervous system. Yeah. You're right in on trauma. Yeah, if you do a salt bath, so now that after we've done it all, if you do a salt bath, basil would be really highly suggested. Really super highly suggested. Yeah. Very cleansing, very soothing, takes tension out of your body, stimulates the mind, unwinds the stress of whatever was coming up and going out. So at this point, rock that basil.
And then go ahead, Donita.
Hey, Miss Donina.
Hi, Greg. In this, I'm a bit dopey. In this last protocol, I used actually poplar, of course.
Good.
But I just, I just wanted to
I
share.
love that you throw in, of course.
Well, because it's before you throw it.
Right,
Or before. Anyway, I'm very visual, with bats and everything else, and turquoise. By the way, turquoise was throughout both days and quite beautiful and throughout me, and it was very lovely. But with poplar right now, it was so interesting. I was noticing that there was like this nothingness all around me, right? Inside, there was just nothing except for this centerpiece, which was very like a crack, and there was light, sparkly, colorful. So I don't know, it was like a crack, or is it just, it was very interesting to observe.
I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, but it was very peaceful. It felt just.
Sounds nice, but I don't know what it means.
I don't know what it means. Okay, so you don't know what it means, but it's like that nothingness that's kind of like clearing stuff. Okay, because it was comfortable. I went back and I did the splendor because I kind of messed up and I did the basil instead of it. So I nearly knocked myself out. And it was thank you. What a retreat indeed.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
thank you so much.
Yeah,
well, that's hard work. I mean, thank you for this. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And then I have a question on chat, and then Brandy, you'll be able to go. This one says, I don't know why, but I recently bought blood purification blend. What pattern should I use with it? Blood purification pattern?
Actually, the blend for blood purification is actually for physical blood purification. So salt bath, rub it on the skin like in massage oil or lotion or witch hazel or alcohol, but it's for helping the body to detoxify. Yeah. Anytime you put something on the skin that causes detoxification in the skin, it stimulates the kidneys, the liver, and the spleen, and a little bit of the lungs to start detoxifying. So that's the goal with that.
And lots of thank yous. And go ahead, Brandy.
Hey, Brandy.
Okay, so Greg, I have this, this is a pattern that's been going on for a while. My daughter is 6. It's probably been going on since she was like 2 or 3. So she's about to be, she's about to be 8. Did I say she's 6? She's 7. She's about to be 8. And anyways, when her father is not happy, anger tends to come through the cords attached to her. So like I'll get her from, I clean her, I cut it, like all the things, but like I can't shield her from her father, especially when she's with him in particular. But like when, I'll get a message, I don't even have to know that I got a message that's unhappy, but like she'll react to the anger with just with anger, like she'll be super angry. Like now she's old enough to say like, I go, what's going on? And she's, I don't know why I'm angry, but like, she'll get so angry that like, she'll hit me, bite me, kick me. And like, that's not how she is. Right. Or, have a fit or like, and just can't. And like, you can feel the agitation in all the bodies in her. And it's, I throw her in a salt bath. I work on her. I've been using the Cardigan when it happens, but like I had to do it 3 times the other day. And I'm kind of not sure what else to do because I can't
So, couple
her
things
from him. Yeah.
Yeah, couple things. So one, diffuse and put her in a salt bath with African bluegrass. That will be probably most likely probably, if not a total fix, a big chunk of it.
Great.
Yeah, that should
That's
help.
easy.
Yeah. Should be super helpful. Sometimes to manage some of the anger, like if that's not cutting it, the bluegrass will even help with like if there's shifts in the mood, for especially for a child. And so I would say even an adult that would work, but we use that with children quite a bit. And then for the anger, Roman chamomile. Roman chamomile, Cape chamomile might work, but I tend to go to the Roman chamomile for dealing with anger.
He likes that one.
Yeah, even in adults, there's other things that can work for adults, but for a child, you don't have to usually be so complicated in the approach. They haven't had all the conditioning that an adult has. And so, and she's still at the point where, 8 is about when the mental body really starts kicking in. And so she doesn't have the mental baggage already, you know what I mean? So it becomes a little bit easier to treat, in a year or 2, it might be a little bit more difficult. But for right now, the bluegrass and the Roman chamomile should be a 1-2 punch, like I would stick a bottle of that bluegrass in her pocket and just have her use it all the time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then for some reason, if that doesn't work, email us and let us know, but that usually does it.
So the bluegrass and the Roman chamomile, you said diffuse the bluegrass, but like she will do the little inhalers, like the little tube. So create an inhaler of the bluegrass and of the Roman chamomile.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then from time to time, like rub maybe like the chamomile and some lotion on her back or, something like that. Doesn't even have to be very often, but just from time to time. And it will help with the tendency to react to the anger.
Okay. The other thing I know you said like, oh, throw it in her pocket, but like, if I send anything with her, it kind of just gets not with her anymore. Yeah. So it's kind of something I can only do on my own, on our own side. So by doing it on our own side regularly, it'll start to kind of. Okay.
Yeah. And as soon as she gets back, it's like, okay. Gotta take a Silkwood shower. I don't know if you ever saw a movie, but like they would come out of the power plant and they would have to stand in the shower to like detox.
Yeah.
she does it with bluegrass and chamomile.
Yeah, we've done variations of this, but I can tell this is
Right.
going to be much better. So thank you
Right.
so much.
And the thing is it can also be a little bit empowering for her, where, she knows she's not angry about anything in particular, but she feels angry. And if she knows that that can be a go-to thing, she can actually even do a little bit of self-treatment on her own.
Oh, she'll like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the kid who threw the bag of lavender down the stairs at me when I said I needed time and space because I was upset. She threw a bag of lavender down the stairs and a little sticky note said, "Mom, smell this. It'll get better." I know. I'm telling you, she's with it. So she'll like that. She'll like to be able to do it herself.
That's
Thanks,
fun.
Greg.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
What about an older kiddo in a similar situation?
What's the age?
A boy about up to turn 14.
I would still do this. The bluegrass, and then for that, I'd start to go to like the chamomile complex, probably. Like it needs to be a little bit stronger. Like that's got chamomiles and yarrows and helichrysum in it, and the mental body's a little bit more engaged, and so there's going to be release of some traumas and just re-education of the nervous system a little bit, and so I would just do a variation of that. Here's the other difficult thing with that age: hormones. Ugh. Is sometimes like with that you might have to do lemon verbena taken internally might be helpful, but I would try the other two things first. But the lemon verbena helps to regulate the endocrine system, and so it's a way to try to regulate the hormones. They're still a teenager, but it can make it a little bit easier.
Great weekend, Greg.
Yeah.
Everyone, so fantastic. Great weekend. Lots of thank yous. And that is the weekend.
Okay, you guys. Well, thanks for joining us this weekend and tonight and everything. And we are going to do the plan empowerments on the Tuesday nights over the next several weeks. Actually, this Tuesday night though, we're going to be traveling, so we won't be able to do this Tuesday. So we will start the following Tuesday doing the plan empowerments, and we'll go from there.